Ever feel like you're drowning in a sea of tasks and can't catch your breath? It's that overwhelming feeling, the one that makes you freeze and you don't even know where to start. And it just seems so insurmountable. It seems like it's like the highest possible mountain and it's going to be so much work to get there. And then it's a lot easier to tell yourself stories like, let's start on Monday. Let's start next month. Let's start tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'll just do this first. And as someone with complex PTSD, anxiety, and depression, this is something that I can especially fall into very quickly if I'm not managing my self-care routines properly. So I had to figure out a way to manage this debilitating cycle because it was blocking my success, my happiness. It was blocking so many things that I wanted in my life. And it was also putting me in shame and guilt. And that is certainly no way to live. That's not the abundance zone. And since I figured out some realistic ways that anybody can do, I'm going to share with you today with no jargon, just real talk and practical tips to help break the overwhelm, paralysis, anxiety pattern and how to manage it.
If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it.
What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. I'm doing something I haven't done in a long time on this show. So my new listeners, I'm so curious how you feel about it. And that's where I share a solution. I share the tips. I share the things in real time as I'm navigating it. So it's raw, it's vulnerable. Everything tells me to press stop record right now. And it's not because I try to hide or I'm not trying to be myself or I'm trying to put on like some facade. Like I'm not really good at being fake. It's not a good look on me and I can't pull it off anyway. But sharing stuff in real time and allows me to process it in real time with you. And yeah, I mean, it is uncomfortable. I can really create a story right now that I'm not going to make sense. I'm not very well spoken. My voice is kind of raspy because I'm tired right now. And then this isn't going to be good. And I'm going to waste your time and you're going to hate it and all the craziness that goes on in our minds. But this is exactly part of that cycle, the overwhelm paralysis, anxiety pattern, as I call it, because we have things to do. So I have all these things to do. I have episodes to record. I have edits that need to be made on my book that's coming out, my Make More and Work Less guided workbook course. So we're putting the final touches on that. You want to make sure that you're on my Secret Posse Weekly Digest list so you get first dibs. We're doing a limited run, so you won't be able to get it after 200 are sold. So make sure you get on that list, projectmewithtiffany.com/secret posse. It's also in the show notes as well. So you can swipe up or go on the description on YouTube, which is ProjectME TV. And if you want to see me squirming and being extra vulnerable in real time, Might be a good idea to check it out over there. I do this because I would be out of integrity not to. I tell you over and over again, if you want what you say you want in life, in relationship, with your body, with your mental health, with your money house, you have to show up regardless if you feel like it or not. And that doesn't mean to sacrifice yourself and you're super sick and you're forcing yourself to work. That's not what I mean. What I mean is we have to show up for ourselves because our brains will come up with a story that we're not in the mood. The stars aren't aligned. Right now, this past weekend is when this whole eclipse season ended. And this has been wild for me this last 2 weeks. It brought up a lot of issues in relationships of all different areas of my life, from work to personal to love to all of the things, and shined a big old spotlight on things that had been going on a while that were bothering me, but I pushed aside, or I didn't set a boundary when I should have set a better boundary because I told myself I was too tired and I was too sensitive right now and I didn't feel like it. And God and the universe are always here supporting us, our guides, our angels, and all of this crap can come up at once. And I know for a fact you had a lot of shit come up in the last 2 weeks, because when I brought this up in our incredible posse training in my membership this last Friday, it was insane. It was like 100 comments within minutes. Oh my God, this is happening with my husband. Oh my God, I just had to set a boundary with my best friend. Oh my God, I just had to fire someone who worked for me. Oh my God, I had to have a really tough conversation with my boss. I mean, one after the next, after the next, after the next. And so things come up during these seasons, whether you believe in like astrology or any of that stuff or not. There are seasons where this stuff all comes up so much at once in a painful way. Behaviors and habits and beliefs within ourselves, shit with others, so that we're so uncomfortable that we're forced to do something about it. But I'm tired from it. I'm worn out from it. It's a lot. And you're likely feeling some of that too, where it's like, God, I need a reprieve, man. I really do. And all of us get triggered in this overwhelm paralysis pattern for different reasons. For me, it's when I feel I've been giving too much and not receiving as much in return, professionally and personally, and even monetarily, quite frankly. And I do notice that with clients of mine. So that might be your thing. And that's the first step, is to make that assessment. If you're feeling that way, where have I been giving and not getting enough in return? I'm sure I'm going to cry, which is also why, I want to avoid doing things like this in real time. But I also know from past experience how powerful it is. Because when we show up regardless for our people, when we show up regardless for our dreams, when we show up regardless for our business, for what we want in life, when we show up regardless for the people we care about, when we show up regardless for ourselves, there's no more powerful message to send to the universe. There's no more magnetic thing that you can do. It's easy to show up when we're feeling great. It's easy to show up when we feel we look cute. It's easy to show up when the sales are coming in. We've got money. The person called us back. Our cup is filleth up. When our bodies feel energized, it's easy. We all know how to do that part. That most everyone in this world knows how to do that part. What sets people apart who end up having the most abundant and rich life, and I don't just mean in money, rich in support, rich in love, rich in freedom, rich in joy, rich in relaxation, rich in health, rich in self-worth, is when you are so dedicated to creating the life that you want, that you show up regardless. Would have been very easy for me to have gone, oh God, but I'm going to have to talk. And I don't really feel my thoughts and words are flowing. And I'm not so sharp right now because I'm tired and I'm in an emotional hangover. And maybe I should do this tomorrow. And I already started putting it off today. I was supposed to record this in the morning. And then I kept pushing it and kept pushing it. Chubbs agrees. Thank you, Chubbs. And since it's getting darker earlier here at the beach, I mean, everywhere, and because I'm obviously filming this as well for ProjectME TV on YouTube, I don't want to use artificial light. Not that I couldn't, but I don't want to. So like my window of time to record this was closing in on me. And I sat there and I went, I don't want to. And it's not because I didn't want to be here and talk to you. And I know the reason you don't want to do things isn't because you don't give a shit about the people in your life. You don't give a shit about yourself. It's not that you don't give a shit about your dreams and your goals. It just feels like so damn much. So the first step here I want you to do is take a loving, non-judgmental inventory of where in your life are you giving way more than you're receiving? Where is that balance off? Usually we don't realize this balance is off until we're paying a price for it, until we're depleted, until we're sick, until we're pissed off, until we're cunty. And I was out of whack in some areas in my life where I'm a very giving and loving person, sometimes naively. Because the people I love really hard since I don't have a family. I have one living relative who I'm no contact with. So my friends are my family. And it can be so hurtful when I'm the solid one. I'm the Virgo earth sign. I'm so dependable. I come in clutch. I show up. I go the extra mile. I'm here. And it's not reciprocal. Even if it's not deliberate, even if it's not on purpose, it's so painful. And I've had this happen in love relationships too. So painful, even if it's not personal, it's the person's own shit, right? Hurt people hurt others. People who are dealing with their own shit and they don't feel worthy of whatever. People can only give and be available for so much more than they are willing to give themselves, right? There's even some kind of statistic where it's like people can only give like 10% more of what they believe they're worthy of themselves, and that's why the most abundant thing that you can do, the most important thing you can manifest, and your number one priority should be love and full acceptance for yourself, because everything pours from that. Otherwise, you're constantly working against it. So take that inventory, see what's going on, and then assess what needs to be done. Is there a conversation? Are there certain relationships that you need to lean out of? What's like a quiet boundary? That doesn't mean you have to have this big powwow and this dramatic conversation, and you don't need to do that. In many cases, it's that you just need to lean out for a little while. That doesn't mean you're abandoning someone, ghosting them, cutting them off. This also doesn't mean you have to tell them you're doing it. You can simply say, hey, I'm really busy right now, or I'm processing some stuff right now. I need some time, whatever. Whatever you need to do to preserve and protect your well-being, we need to go in the mode that you probably have seen your phone go into if it starts overheating. And it says, we're not going to operate. I don't remember what the message is. It's like, functionality is limited until the phone is restored back to its safe temperature or something like that. That's what you're going to do. You have to put a protective cocoon around yourself and regroup And you might not have the energy or the bandwidth to have those conversations, leave the person, quit the job, start the thing. But there are some things that you need to say, I must release from my life. There's behaviors, habits, and patterns of your own that are causing a lot of the problem, perhaps procrastination. You need to listen to my recent episode if you haven't on that, where I say procrastination is actually an addiction, and I'm dead ass serious about that. Maybe it's laziness, like not where I joke around saying I'm lazy, but straight up laziness where you're just like not doing anything. Maybe you have a little bit of an addiction to scrolling, or you're in avoidance, and take a look at that and own your part in it. Then I want you to look at, how much am I really setting an expectation that I have to do? Like, am I putting out this insane list of stuff that I need to do, and then it's triggering the overwhelm paralysis pattern? This is something I tend to do. It's like I see a lot of parents do this, especially mothers. Now I have to do this, and then I have to pick up the dry cleaning, and then I have to get this kid's particular favorite snack from this store, and then I have to go to this other grocery store. How many of you go to multiple grocery stores and markets? I used to be out of control with this. I'm much better now. I just don't want to spend my time doing it. But it used to be like there were solid 4. Now I just buy some things in bulk, so it's not all the time. Like, can't there be a market that just has it all? Why is it that we have to run our asses around to different stores? And yes, I know, at least in the US, there's Instacart, but ain't no one picking out my produce, honey. And people, they don't check the expiration labels. No, not approved. Not happening. And I need to peruse. I like perusing. That's why I like TJ Maxx. I like going to discount stores, and I don't mind a good thrift experience. I like coming up on a find. It's very exciting for me. This is what goes on over here. Look to see how much you're stacking. If you were to look at all the stuff that you put on your list, each one is a brick. Going to the grocery store, making the post, getting a greeting card for so-and-so, buying an outfit for this, making sure this gets cleaned, calling these doctor's appointments, writing this thing, starting this thing, doing this thing, and each one is a brick. Just visualize that with me for a second. How would that end up looking? Guaranteed, it's a wall. That's a lot of bricks. Even if you took those bricks then and like kind of put them in your purse, it'd be insane. You wouldn't even be able to walk with it. Well, you're carrying that weight of all those bricks energetically when you're stacking all these to-dos. And it's not even your fault. We've been raised and pushed into that busyness means that you're important. Busyness means you're productive. Busyness means you are a great contributor of society. Busy means you're doing like good things. Busy, 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 busy. Well, you know what I say? I say, fuck busy. Busyness usually leads people to bankrupt. And what I mean by bankrupt is emotionally bankrupt, physically bankrupt, mentally bankrupt, spiritually bankrupt, and sometimes financially pretty bankrupt or close to it or headed to it, because it's not sustainable. It's too much. It's exhausting. And you end up in this overwhelm paralysis pattern where you want to say, fuck it all. And then you don't do anything. And then you keep shoving things off into the future, and then nothing happens. Then you feel shame and guilt about that. Then you beat yourself up about it. That only makes you feel worse. And you get dug in and dug in and dug in further. And pretty soon, I know for a fact, you watching or listening right now, you probably have things on that damn list. If we look at the bricks, I guarantee you 50% of those bricks, those have been carryovers on a to-do list over and over and over again. Those have just been sitting on your damn nervous system. I did that with my workbook course that's coming out. Procrastinated. And then I had all these other bricks and I started stacking more bricks because I was so nervous about, doing this workbook. Because if you've been listening a long time, we've been playing drinking games with me in this book. And it's amazing. And I'm so thrilled for it coming out. Like, you have to buy it, basically. You don't have a choice. First of all, it's going to be at an incredible special. So we're doing it for $200 off. And then we're doing a limited release run where we're opening it up to 200 people to buy it. So you have to buy it just for my own mental health. Okay. I love Chubbs is going nuts because of my energy right now. And I could really use that as an excuse to stop recording and say, how annoying is this? And my podcast producer, Jen, can only cut out so much. And I'm not going to do that. I'm being tested right now. So we're going to keep going with all of this. It's amazing how animals pick up our energy. But on your nervous system, you have stacked so many to-dos and so many things and so many responsibilities and so many things you need to start doing and stop doing. No wonder you're triggered into this fight or flight response. You're actually unknowingly putting yourself in a trauma response. When you're so overwhelmed, overstimulated, your nervous system is tapped out, the phone is overheating, and therefore your system is going into freeze. Also flight, right? Because not only do we freeze in this state, we also flight, we go to dissociate. That's when we do online shopping, eating, drinking, scrolling, Netflix binging, all that sort of stuff. You go into that spot because your nervous system is trying so hard to regulate yourself because it's so much. It's not going to work that way. So if you're in this spot right now, I'm glad you're listening to this episode. Your number one job is to regulate your nervous system and take it all down. I want you to sit all the bricks down. And this is much different than giving yourself a pass and procrastinating. This is you putting all the bricks down and going, okay, clearly we need to regroup, right? My nervous system is overheating and I don't want to get sick and I don't want to pay a price and I don't want to do this anymore. And we need to reassess, what do I need right now? Why am I fucking crying again? What do I need right now? And I'm going to do it with you, so that you do it. Can't ask you to do something I'm not willing to do. I need extra support. Loving, nurturing support where I don't have to fucking ask for it. Support just because I want you to know, Tiff, whatever you need, I'm here, or just to do something. I need acts of service. That's my number one love language. I need that support. I want extra hugs. I feel a lot of us are starved of physical touch since the pandemic. I could use a few extra hugs right now. And I would say some nurturing rest time, just reading a book, more baths, walks, huddled up with Chubbs. That's what I need. What is it that you need right now? And it can be vulnerable to state what you need because it's scary, because it's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to get it. Because maybe you've been really disappointed in people lately, like I have, and you haven't gotten it, even if you've asked for it, even if you've had talks with them. And we have to be able to give that to ourselves. We can't put our well-being in the hands of other people. We have to look at those things that we need and go, how can I give this to myself? If there's someone who's really clutch in your life, you're very blessed. And I do have a couple people like that. and they're a sure thing. I'm that sure thing for everyone in my life. And I know that. But the person who's the sure thing in your life, they also need some of that in return. You can go to them or text them and just say, I need some extra TLC right now. And this is what this means to me. Do you think you could do that? That doesn't mean someone will. We can't control that. That's why I'm saying we have to give it to ourselves first. What we give to ourselves first ends up attracting more of that to us. It's really interesting how that happens, because ever since I've done this, which is what prompted me doing this episode in this last several days of giving it to myself, I have had people who I haven't even spoken to in a while reach out or have done loving gestures. But I wasn't expecting it. I was pouring into myself first. So I want you to do that. Second thing is, what do you need to let go of? What do you need to release? And I don't want a whole damn list, my listers out there. I don't want a whole damn list where you're setting yourself up for something again. There's usually probably 2 things that you need to release that are really causing 90 to 95% of the pain that you're in and the overwhelm that you're in and the anxiety that you're in. What are those 2 things that you need to release? And you know what those are. You might need to take a walk or take a nice bath or something. What I do when those things come up, and I did it this morning, is I have my showers all have like rain shower heads in them. And even if you don't have a rain shower head, you can sit, right under the shower head. And I let the water pour over me for quite some time. And I visualize the things that I need to release that aren't serving me, the things, the people, the places, the behaviors, the habits, the thoughts, the beliefs, all that. I picture that washing over me and washing down in the drain. And it feels so good. And truly letting that go. And not getting out of that shower until I've done that. I think that'll be a beautiful exercise for you, because you started with saying what you genuinely need more of right now. But you can't let that in until you let go of the stuff and release the stuff. Those 2 big things that are really blocking you. And once you shed that and release that, you can really allow in these other things that you need more of: love, support, financial abundance, opportunity, grace, patience, physical touch, connection, acts of service, you name it. And then the third thing, and we're going to keep this simple, so don't worry, there's only 3 things. The third thing I want you to do is make a commitment of what you can do to nurture yourself and give those things to yourself and prioritize those. These bricks you keep collecting, they're just there blocking you. They're just there in a habit. It's a familiar feeling to have your nervous system activated like that all the time. So then we do these things habitually to keep our nervous system activated, even though we don't like how it feels. It just is happening automatically. But now that you're aware of it, you can do something about it. So what can you do daily to check in with yourself to make sure you're not doing that autopilot response of stacking those bricks back up, taking on more bricks, other people's bricks? Okay. And I know your ass does this because I'm an overgiver, and the likelihood is you are too, where you're stacking other people's bricks. I've got to check in on this person and I need to do this and this person. Listen, most of the things that we think are bricks really are like pebbles. They're not that important. They don't have to be done. Someone else can do them. They can wait. We create such a story in our head. They all have to be done. They all have to be done now, but they're not getting done. because it's too much. When you lighten your load and when you become lighter and you become freer and you're nurturing yourself naturally, you'll be able to, in a slow and steady way, tick off all these things that you genuinely need to do for responsibilities or desire and want to do. They'll come off much faster. They'll come off in time, but not when you're trying to climb the mountain with a fucking purse that's filled with all these bricks. They don't need to all be there at once. They'll get done. If you need to write all these things down and put it in a piece of paper and put that piece of paper in some box somewhere, just so you're like, I don't want to forget any of these things, then do that. If that's something that makes you feel better. But maybe what you need to release down the drain is the need to always be doing, the need to always be productive, the need to always be chewing on something, and that you have to do something and you didn't do something and now you're shaming yourself for not doing something. And then there's more things and there's more things. It's a very interesting form of dissociation and avoiding your own feelings and avoiding being with yourself, is to always be busy. The busyness is causing the bankruptcy in your life. And I don't want to see that for you anymore. I don't want to see that for me. And we'll fall into it. I fell into it. The difference is I caught it very quickly and I'm course correcting. And I thought I would share that course correct with you in real time so you could apply it to your own life. I would love it if you let me know in the comments here on YouTube if this resonated, if you benefited off of seeing me go through it in real time, or you can also tell me you're not into it. I can handle it. I mean, be kind of nice, but I can handle it. Go leave a Apple Podcast review of the show. You can tap the 5 stars on Spotify. That means a lot too. The only place you can do a written review is on Apple. So go do that. And don't forget, make sure you're on my Secret Posse Weekly Digest. This is where every week you get an email from me, and it's not some like stupid newsletter that's a waste of your time. They're stories. They're very intimate. There are very simple, clear, unique exercises, thought-provoking questions and steps in manifestation, in healing money traumas, money wounds. And it's designed for you to consume in 30 seconds or less. But being on that list gets you first dibs to the Make More and Work Less guided workbook course that you have to buy now. I'm even tired of like that brick, man. I can't wait. That brick's got to go. That's not even one brick. That's like, some of these things are like 10 bricks and it doesn't need to be 10. I release that. I sit that down. I let it go. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.